Have you ever felt like the world was against you? Like you were born into a story where the odds were stacked impossibly high? Well, today I want to share a story that will remind you that your beginning doesn't have to define your end. This is a story about a girl who turned a life of hardship into one of triumph and love. Imagine a small, humble home where every day is a struggle for survival. In this home lived a little girl, her two brothers, and their mother. They didn't have much, but they had something more precious than gold: a mother's unwavering love and a deep, unshakable faith. Her father was an absent man in their lives, a presence rarely felt, but her mother, she was very loving. Every single morning, before the actual sun even thought about rising, her gentle voice would wake them. "Time for prayers," she'd say. And every night, they would end the day the same way, gathered together, finding strength in their faith and in each other. This was their routine, their anchor in a sea of uncertainty. Life was already tough, but just as the girl turned 10, the unimaginable happened. The faint shadow of her father disappeared completely. He passed away, leaving a void that was not just emotional, but devastatingly financial. The little income they had vanished overnight. It felt like the ground had crumbled beneath their feet. The world suddenly became a much colder, scarier place. Their mother, a pillar of strength, now had to carry the weight of the entire family on her shoulders. She looked at her daughter, her bright, intelligent girl, with a heart full of sorrow. The decision she had to make was one no parent should ever face. To keep food on the table, she had to pull her daughter out of school. The school gates closed for her, and just like that, her world shrank. The laughter of the schoolyard, the chatter of classmates, it all became a distant echo. The friends she thought she had, the ones she shared secrets and dreams with, they faded away, one by one. It's a lonely feeling when people you know start looking through you, pretending you don't exist simply because your circumstances have changed. All of them left her behind, all except one. Her name was Mary, and she came from a world so different it was like another planet. Mary's family was wealthy, but her heart was even richer. She didn't see a poor girl, she saw her friend. She saw the sadness in her eyes and refused to turn away. Mary didn't just offer words of comfort. She went home and told her parents about her friend's situation. She painted a picture of a loving mother struggling to feed her children, of a bright girl whose dream of an education was stolen by poverty. Mary's parents were moved by their daughter's compassion. They weren't just rich in wealth, but rich in kindness. They decided to step in. It started small, a bag of groceries, some money for rent, but it grew into a lifeline. They saw the potential in this family, the resilience in the mother, and the spark in the young girl's eyes. They didn't just offer charity, they offered a chance. The family finally had a safety net, a glimmer of hope that the future might hold something more than just survival. Thanks to the support of Mary's family, the girl was able to return to school. She studied harder than ever before, driven by a burning desire to change her family's fate. She knew this was her one shot, and she wasn't going to waste it. Years flew by, and the two girls, one from poverty and one from privilege, blossomed into young women. Their bond, forged in a time of hardship, was unbreakable. They were more than friends, they were sisters. The girl also grew close to Mary's family, especially her older brother, Joseph. He had watched her grow, admired her strength, her intelligence, and her kind heart. He saw past her background and saw the incredible woman she was becoming. One day, Joseph, now a young man himself, approached his parents with a serious request. He had fallen in love. He wanted to marry the girl his family had helped raise, but the reaction was not what he expected. His parents were shocked. "Marry her?" they asked, their faces filled with disbelief. "She is a wonderful girl, yes, but she is not from our world. You need to marry someone from a similar background, someone who understands our life." They refused his request firmly. They had helped her, but they drew a line at her becoming a permanent part of their family. Their kindness had a limit, and that limit was social status. The news was a blow to both Joseph and the young lady. Now, their families, once united by kindness, were now divided by prejudice. But their love was not so easily dismissed. They looked at each other and made a promise. They would not give up. They decided they would both focus on their university education, build their own futures, and then, once they were independent, they would get married, with or without their family's blessing. When Joseph's parents heard of this pact, they were furious. They felt their generosity had been taken for granted. In their anger, they made a drastic decision. They cut off all support to the girl's family. The lifeline was severed. Once again, the family was thrown back into the deep end, left to fend for themselves. The years that followed were incredibly difficult. The girl worked multiple jobs while studying, her mother worked tirelessly, and her brothers did what they could. It was a constant struggle, but they were not the same family they were before. They were stronger, more resilient. The girl, fueled by her love for Joseph and her determination to prove everyone wrong, excelled in her studies. Joseph did the same, always encouraging her from a distance, their promise to each other a constant source of strength. They graduated with honors, both securing good jobs. They had built their own foundations, brick by painstaking brick. They had proven that they didn't need a handout, just an opportunity. Seeing their children's success, their unwavering commitment to each other, and the incredible individuals they had become, something began to shift in the hearts of Joseph's parents. Time, success, and the sheer power of a love that refused to die began to soften their stance. They saw the strong, independent woman the girl had become, a woman any family would be proud to call their own. They realized their prejudice had blinded them to her true worth. Finally, they called for a meeting. There were tears, apologies, and a reconciliation that healed the wounds of the past. The families, once torn apart, were brought back together. And this time, it was for a celebration. A grand wedding was planned, a union not just of two people in love, but of two families who had learned a powerful lesson about compassion, prejudice, and the true meaning of wealth. The girl who was born with nothing, who lost her father, who was forced out of school, stood there, radiant, marrying the love of her life. Her journey was a testament to the fact that with faith, love, and a will of steel, you can rewrite your own story. Thank you so much for watching and sharing this incredible journey with us. If this story touched your heart, please give this video a thumbs up. And do not forget to subscribe and hit that notification bell so you do not miss our next story. See you next time.